Hey YouTube, and welcome to another edition of Backyard Beekeeping. I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there real quick, what the issue is. I'm queenless right now. My hive is without a queen. And I'm going to fast forward through this footage here. This is me just yesterday, the 25th, looking for the queen. And you'll see what's going on. And actually, let me give you a little backstory here. The last time I saw Chutney alive was July 11th, 2014 at about 6:30 in the morning, which is my preferred time to check the hive out. I love checking them out in the morning while they're still kind of sleepy. They haven't gone off foraging and gotten real active. And according to my notes here, I found her July 11th looking as active as ever. The bees look great. There were a few mites on the inspection tray, but I didn't see any mites on the bees. But the population was growing. There were fresh eggs and larvae in the prepared cells, and everything seemed to go well. Shortly after that, on the morning of July 11th, I hopped in the Suburban and went up to the rancho for a little vacation. I was up at the ranch for 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 days. We came back on July 22nd, the afternoon of July 22nd, and I cracked open the hive the evening of July 22nd to inspect and make sure everybody was still there and everything was good. I was unable to locate the queen on the 22nd, but because it was a hive check done at dusk, I wasn't completely worried about it. The problem with checking the hive out in the late afternoon, early evening, is that the longer you're out there poking around in the hive, the more light you're losing, the darker it's getting. So it becomes more difficult to get a good inspection. I like doing my inspections first thing in the morning, because then if you're out there an hour or so, you're not losing light, you're actually gaining light. So I didn't panic yet. I was a little concerned, but I wasn't panicked on the 22nd. The weekend, the morning of Wednesday, the 23rd of July, I went out, inspected. I spent 2.5 hours out there. I got out there about 6 a.m. I literally spent 2.5 hours and went through that hive 4 times with a fine-tooth comb and was unable to locate the queen. I went off to work that day. I came back on that evening, Wednesday evening, dusk, and I checked them out again. Still didn't find a queen. Thursday morning, the 24th, no queen. Friday, the 25th, was my last and final inspection before I declared the queen dead, and I found a bunch of evidence that there is no laying queen anymore. Besides the fact I couldn't find her, I do not have a laying queen inside my hive. I have a bunch of prepared cells that are going unfilled. There's no eggs. There's no fresh eggs. All the larvae have been capped, so I'm a little concerned. So what's going on right now is I'm going to allow the hive to do what a hive does, and they're building emergency queen cells to try to make another queen. And you'll see in this video my bees are super agitated, and I knew, unfortunately I goofed this video up. Somehow I didn't press the record button and get the top box or the first half of this inspection on video. I don't know what was going on, but the bees are absolutely just angry. And I noticed that first thing I noticed on the 23rd, on Wednesday, was that my bees were super agitated. They were swarming around, or they were flying around my head, just whacking into the side of that screen I have on the front of my helmet. And I literally got stung 6, 8, 10 times. Every time I go out here to inspect the hive, I'm getting stung no less than 6 or 8 times, and I never ever get stung, ever. I think in the course of the last couple months, I've only been stung once, and that was by a young guard bee that stung me on the hand. But boy, I am just getting hit. You can see me shaking off my glove there. I mean, I'm not physically getting stung, but they're stinging my suit or my gloves. And I can see the stinger and the entrails attached to it. So I know it's disheartening to see that. It really makes me sad. I know they're bugs, but what are you going to do? Why do I say the queen has died versus a swarm? If you watch this video, you'll see how fully populated my hive is. These 2 boxes are probably 90 to 95% full right now and occupied. You'll see just about every panel I pull out of here is just teeming with healthy bees. And if she had swarmed, and believe me, July is a pretty prime month in my region for honeybee swarms. If she had swarmed, I would have half this many bees in my boxes, right? When a queen bee bails, usually she takes her senior staff members with her. The older bees who are loyal to her are going to scoot on out of there with her, and they take half the hive. But my numbers are incredible in here right now. So the thought that she may have swarmed is not realistic, because there's just way too many bees in here. So the other option is that she's dead. Now, how did she die? In reality, it could have been my fault. Even guys that know what they're doing occasionally will squish a queen. Every time you crack a hive open and you're pulling those frames out, you risk injuring or killing bees. And if you injure a bee, he's gone. As far as the hive is concerned, they're gonna throw him out. If they become dead, the other bees are gonna pull them out of there and throw them in the bushes. So even if I had inadvertently squished the queen, and believe me, I'm careful, I would never know it, because the other bees would have identified her as being dead. Look at all the bees just swarming around my head. I want you guys to watch that. Anyway, if she had died inside the hive, the other bees would have carried her out and dropped her into all the plants that are around, just dropped her off outside somewhere. So I would never be able to identify or find her if I had done it. If she had, the other option is that she had some kind of disease or she was not healthy. She's only about 5 months old, but things happen. Maybe she died due to disease. Maybe she died because she wasn't a productive queen. That's another thing too. Is if she wasn't putting out a strong pheromone smell, if she was not effectively laying eggs, the other bees are going to ball her, and that's not a good thing, because they'll sting her to death, and then they'll throw her out of the hive, and then they're going to go into queen making mode and build another queen. And that's really what seems to be happening here. When I first cracked this hive open, I probably found 6 or 8 emerging queen cells that the other bees were building, and that caught my attention, as well as the aggression. So when I very first cracked the hive, I had this feeling in the back of my head that something wasn't right. So I wasn't scraping out all the queen cells, and it's a good thing I didn't, because I haven't found it. So the bees are in what's called emergency mode right now, making queen cells to flood some existing either eggs or larvae or pupa, whatever stage they're in. Usually it's the very youngest of the eggs, or if there are no eggs and they're a pupa, then, or a larva, excuse me, they're going to flood it with royal jelly to make an emergency queen. I'm hoping that happens in time before this hive dies off. I'd really be bummed out. This isn't my first rodeo, and not my first time I've had a queen disappear on me. But look, they just get all over my hands. This is not the first time I've had a queen disappear on me, but it's a bit of a bummer. You put a lot of time and effort into these things, only to have them fail. But it is Mother Nature, things happen. I never count my chickens before they hatch, which is why I was hesitant to make any definitive timelines as to when I was going to collect honey, because you just never know. Things could happen. This whole hive could die right now, and I would just collect the honey and call it done and try it again in the spring. Or, like I said, I'm going to let the bees do what the bees do. At this point, it's too late in the year for me to have my bee guy make me another queen. So I'm going to rely on these fellas and ladies in this hive to make their own. But we're looking at least 23 days from when they identify a new queen cell, when I can start seeing new eggs. So I'm checking on this thing every day. Every morning I'm out there checking to look for new eggs in the prepared cells. I have a bunch. I have hundreds of prepared cells that are going unfilled right now. So I'm hoping, and I'm checking every day, and I'm checking actually on some queen cells. I've allowed them to maintain 4 queen cells. And what'll happen there is whoever emerges from a queen cell first is going to go around the hive and kill the other queens, whether they've emerged or not. They'll identify the smell, and they'll go in and kill them right in their little cells. And hopefully that's the strong queen, and then she'll go off to her nuptial flights and come back fertilized and be ready. But it takes a while. Remember the egg life cycle, 0 to 3 days is an egg, and then from day 3 to about day 8 is the larva is out there, and then the queen cell gets capped around, I don't know, day 8 or so. They cap it, and then she stays in there and eats until she emerges, and she won't emerge till about day 17, and she flies off about 3 or 4 days later. She'll fly off to go get fertilized by a bunch of other drones, and that usually takes 3 or 4 days. And then she'll fly back to the hive on about day 23 or 24 to carry on the hive. So we're going to see what happens. I will keep you guys in the loop. I do promise that. This has been a fun journey trying to reestablish the hive. See, that's why, in all honesty, you need more than one hive. If I had 3 or 4 other hives, what I would do is I would take this existing colony and queenless colony, and I would merge them with the other hives, and then I would then that would basically guarantee that they're going to be okay while I build another queen. The problem with only having one hive and one potential for one fertilized queen is that when she's gone, now these guys are going around queenless. So fingers crossed, I'll keep you updated. I'm out there every morning checking and writing in my journal so I can see when those capped queen cells emerge, and I'll just look for the chewed out hole and know that she's somewhere in there. And then it'll be several weeks for her, even after she comes back. She's very, very difficult to identify when they're brand new and young. So, you know, even when she first comes back, the best indication that you have a fertile queen is you're looking for eggs being plopped into prepared cells, and there's plenty of prepared cells waiting for eggs. So I'll keep an eye out for that, and I'll let y'all know. I appreciate you watching, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Have a good one.